This isn't about 20 people contacting Warren County about whether to locate or not. It's about all the jobs behind those 20 companies that may come there. And not just 10 or 15 Kentuckians, but hundreds of Kentuckians that may have an opportunity. The other thing that I think has somewhat been misrepresented, and I want to say that in the lightest and non-harshest terms. When I spoke today before the committee, a question was saying, well, it's about education, it's about location, it's about infrastructure, it's about low energy costs. I said that, and I agree. This isn't a singular issue for a lot of people. There's many things that you have to consider when you're looking at locating from one state to another. And those issues I just meant are part of the overall dynamic in making a decision. But one of those other issues that wasn't talked about was, are we a right-to-work state or not? And the one thing you don't hear from anybody is when you say 10, 15, 30, or 50% of the site locators will tell you that either you will not be considered or it is a strike against you when you are considered. They can't refute that. They can't refute that because it's there. They tell you that. So it's not an issue, and I know everybody showed their statistics, and everybody can manipulate statistics. It's not an issue of are you pro-union or anti-union. It's not about what you're trying to do to help somebody politically or anything else. This is about an opportunity. And as we've talked about on many occasions, if it's just one company that creates 15 jobs, then that's 15 people who are put to work. And I don't care if they unionize or they don't unionize. And you will see the statistics that we have been shown that union participation does not decrease in right-to-work states. Last thing I want to talk about, they talk about the standard of living and cost of living. Well, I don't think you can even mention that about this issue of right to work or not right to work, because everyone who has an understanding of economics knows that a dollar is not static. As I come to Jefferson County, this is in Kentucky, and look to buy a home in Jefferson County, and what it will cost to buy a 1,500 square foot home in Jefferson County, and then compare that to my home. And the reason I know this is because I have two daughters living in Jefferson County. I bought them a home just recently. I know that I can buy a much larger home on a much larger piece of property in my hometown with much nicer accompaniments than I can in Jefferson County for the same price. So when you start talking about the Northeast and areas like that who have higher wages, they don't necessarily have a higher standard of living, because the cost of living in New York, which was just made to me by a good friend of mine, a 500 square foot flat in a common property sold for $325,000. Well, you've got to have the wages at a different scale. A dollar is not static. So when you try to compare standards of living and make it a right to work argument, it does not fly in the face of economics, because there are other factors that you have to determine to see what the standard of living is and how far a dollar goes. But to that end, if we miss the opportunity to create one job, but as you've seen of what happened in Bowling Green, the potential is there for not just one, not just hundreds, of thousands of jobs coming to this state if we will just change. And I finish with this one last point. If you want to see all the counties that have changed off the bat, it's been the ones on the northern part. It's been the ones on the southern border next to Tennessee, because guess what? They see what happens 30 miles down the road from flanking Kentucky when you get into the Tennessee area and on into Nashville. You see the growth they've had. You see what happens in Whitley County when you go across the border towards Knoxville. You see what happens down around 59, I think it is, and what happens on the other side around Clarksville in that area. Because they get down to that final factor, and we've lost opportunity. We need to do this. I knew what was the result was going to be in the committee, but hopefully at some point in time, the House will see that it is not a question about unions or not unions. It's about Kentucky jobs. So I appreciate the opportunity to come over here and express my opinion. I thank you all for all the support on Senate Bill 1.